Yeah.
Well, hello everybody. Tom from History Delights here. I'm with John, the battlefield artist. John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, I guess.
You're doing great. Well,
Yeah.
we're here in Albert City, Iowa at the Thresherman Show. And can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Well, basically the battle artist went out in the field. The guy who I portray, Alfred Wade, actually was attached to the Union Army. And basically he'd go out and draw pictures because they didn't have photography at the time they could put in newspapers.
Okay.
But they definitely could put drawings in by, well, they had this process where they used the balsam wood, and they take the balsam wood, they do like 7 prints, and this ain't balsam wood, this is cedar. I picked this up this morning over there at the sawmill.
Okay.
But they would do a drawing like this, and then they'd send it to New York, and then New York had these engravers would engrave 7 times, and it was all about detail. Now, most of the drawings that Alfred Wade would do would probably be no more detailed than this one. Most likely not.
Because they had to recarve them out again.
Exactly.
So
And
they wanted
they-
it simple to
Yes.
save on the carving. Yeah.
And the artists in New York knew what, you'd have foreground, middle ground, and background. So they knew this. And Alfred Wade stayed with the Union Army. Now, before he went into the Union Army, he was schooled in Europe, and he loved Marine. He wanted to be something to do like, they called it romantic art of the time, of ships. Well, it didn't sell. So then he went to New York and did some theatrical artwork for like plays, theaters, and he made a living. But then when the war broke out, that's when he joined Harper's Weekly and became one of their artists.
So Harper's Weekly was a very popular magazine.
It was the top one of the time. Now, little like this town of Albert City, I don't know much history about it, but they could not afford an artist like Alfred Wade. A lot of the little town newspapers could not afford artists, so they would buy the artwork like from Harper's that Alfred would have done or other artists would have done to put it in their newspapers.
Okay.
It was very costly.
And a lot of people at the time got their war news from the Harper's Weekly, didn't they?
Exactly. So what I'd be the eyes and ears of the people. So if I was biased, you're going to get something biased about the war, one way or another.
Okay.
And so they talk about fake news now. Back then, it was all fake news because it was only one man's opinion of what was actually going on and how much did he really know. He was out there watching the battle. He'd hear stuff around camp because he hung out with the soldiers. So whatever he knew, he was going to tell you. But that's not always the truth. That was not the full story.
Right.
So
Right.
getting back to me, I've always been into art. Since as a kid, drawing, painting, whatever. I do sculptures now, metal sculptures. And I work for the state of Iowa, so I do metal sculptures for them. Plus for regular welding. Not everything's glorious. But anyway, when I started doing Civil War reenacting back in '92, when the start of the ASW became, or the Army of Southwest, and I had I said, I'm going to be a battle artist. I also portray a Confederate sharpshooter.
I was just going to say, you're dressed in another role, so you want
Yes.
to tell us about that role?
Yeah, I have a scope, or actually it's a deflection tube on top of my Enfield. It came off of a Wentworth rifle. It was made by a guy named Anthony Durst in West Virginia in 1861. And I knew his great-grandson gave me this deflection tube and said, I asked him what he wanted for it. He says, put it on your gun, show people this is my relative made this. And it was carried by his great cousin during the Civil War.
Wow.
And if you look in the tube, there's crisscross notches, and each one of those points was what they considered a good kill. Now he killed other people, but that was a good kill.
Right.
Kind of like they would attack. They would get generals, whoever in charge, or they go after the cannon corps. So it was a good kill. And I put it on the Wentworth because you use, if I was to use, or no, I'm sorry, I put it on my Enfield. If you put it on the Wentworth, they're 52 caliber, you're going to clog the thing up.
Sure.
I mean, 57.7, their bullet is about as big as my thumb, and that thing can belch and it just kind of blows itself out, where a smaller bore gun will not do that. So I'd have to clean it constantly.
Okay. Would you happen to have some other examples of your artwork
I do that.
you could
I
share
do.
with us?
Yes, I do.
That would be great.
These are some that haven't been hit the air yet, so we can show these off here.
Okay.
Here's what I did for today. This is up here at Elbert City. I also do hot rod artwork. That's another part of my life.
Okay.
So this is, if you know which tractor says, Dear John.
John. Dear John. That's right.
Yeah.
That's good.
And let's find another good one here. Everybody likes Bigfoot, right?
Yes.
Okay, here's one with Bigfoot, and he's basically saying, "Hey, what kind of idiot? What people think I'm an idiot? People banging on trees." And the soldier's saying, "Yeah, I don't think people like history." Kind of
Right.
deal.
Yep.
And what else we got here? Well, here's one for the cannon guys. He said everybody wants to hear the cannon go off. What if you don't have a cannon? What do you use? Oh, but a sewer tube.
That's a sewer tube. The promoters wanted a cannon. Or they'd send us home. There you go. Battle artist John. There we go. And is this copyrighted work?
Yeah, well, I guess you call it that.
Okay, so I just want to let our viewers know this is copyrighted work. So
Yeah.
that is pretty neat.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time for the Army of the Southwest. We put it on our Kevin. He puts it on our Facebook, and I do it so people can enjoy, doing what we live.
Right. And I'll put a link to the Army of the Southwest website down in the description box so that everybody can go there and check out some of your other artwork and see pictures of our reenactment and how much fun we have.
Oh man, we knocked the crowd out. That's for sure.
Oh, we have a blast, don't we?
We do.
Okay. Well, do you have any final thoughts for the viewers here today?
I think it's sad that the young people today don't see the enjoyment we have portraying the past. And when I was up in Fort Dodge here, a reenactment, there was a woman that kind of struck me. She says to one of our guys, she says, "Why are you reenacting such a bloody part of our history?" And she says, "Why don't you reenact something from the future?" The guy says, "Well, what would that be? We haven't lived the future yet." And she's kind of snarled at him, and so anyway, she starts walking away with her husband, and she was probably in her 40s and her husband's in her 60s, so you can imagine what's going on there. But anyway, one of our guys can't hear really well, and he says, "Is that what they call a Karen?" She comes right back, and she puts her finger right in his face like this. And after she leaves, the other guy says, "Yeah, I think so."
A funny story. Well, John, thank you so much for taking some time out, sharing your story, sharing your skills. We sure enjoy having you here and talking to you and seeing your artwork and seeing what you're going to come up with every time we meet.
You bet. Hey, folks, just come out, see us all, enjoy what we have to show you. That's all I have to say.
All right. So everyone go out and have a very delightful day.